With that, I will pass it back to you, Didi.
Okay, thank you, Ezekias. If we can go to the next slide. Before we begin, I would like to start with a polling question to give with the type of agencies that we have with us today, to give an idea, um, to give our speakers an idea of who is attending today. So what type of organization are you representing? Are you with a government agency, a municipality, nonprofit agency, private for-profit, community member, or other? And I will give you I'll give you some time to enter that. I don't think, do we have the poll up, Ezekias? I see.
There we
Oh,
go.
awesome. Thank you. All right. And we greatly appreciate you. We have a couple of polling questions today, so we greatly appreciate you participating. So I do have the results. 61 of you here today are from nonprofit agencies. 18% are from government agencies, welcome. 16% are from municipalities. We also have for-profit agencies with us and other. That'd be interesting if you're in the chat. I'd like to, if you can just put down what the other is, that'd be great. So thank you. We have a wide range of agency representatives here today. So thank you for attending. Next slide. So I'd like to go over the agenda for today. First off, we will have a update from Valley Metro, also an update from the City of Phoenix. We'll have public health updates. We'll have a presentation from the City of Phoenix Office of Accountability and Transparency. Our agency spotlight will be by Duet. I will do a couple of regional human services transportation updates, and then we will have an update from our sub-regional mobility manager. Next, I would like to now introduce our first agenda item, and it is by Valley Metro. And I would like to thank Valley Metro for being such a great partner to our program. Public transit is a great, oh, thank you, Ezekias, for not going. I'd like to do another polling question for you today. So do you or your consumers use public transit? If you can answer, I use public transit. It could be bus, light rail. My agency consumers use public transit.
Didi, can I
Yes.
add to that? Ride choice, if you know what ride choice is, and also paratransit.
Okay. So for the public transit, for the first two ones, it could also be right choice or paratransit. Well, we do have, I use Ride, and my consumers use Ride. Thank you. We can we'll update that for next one. But yes, if you can include right choice and paratransit in your mind while you're answering.
Yeah, Dial-A-Ride is the same as paratransit. It's just, for example, Valley Metro calls it paratransit. City of Phoenix has Dial-A-Ride, and same with Peoria and Glendale. But it's all the same similar service.
Thank you. Okay, and then we have the results. And 48 say my agency consumers use public transit, bus, light rail, paratransit, and right choice. Next is 38% at saying my agency consumers use Dial-A-Ride. 31% say none of the above. 21% said answered that I use public transit. I also answered, and I do use public transit also. And 2% say they use Dial-A-Ride. Again, thank you for participating in our polling questions. And as I said, Valley Metro is a great partner to our program, and public transit is a great transportation option where it's available and appropriate for you or your consumers to take. It has a set schedule, and we greatly appreciate their participation in our efforts. So I'd now like to welcome Guillermo Gonzalez, who is a program supervisor with Valley Metro, who will provide some transit updates. Thank you, Guillermo.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dee Dee, for that warm welcome. Yeah, so I'll just be giving an update on a couple of our projects and what we have going on in Valley Metro right now. It is a pretty busy season for us. Next slide, please. Construction updates. Next slide. So we finally opened the Northwest Extension Phase 2. That was very exciting. It officially opened with a ribbon cutting on January 27th. And we had a really big community celebration, which was really fun. We had over 2,000 people in attendance. And we also opened 3 new stations. And we have the Theta Williams Transit Center, which is the system's first elevated transit station. It is the rail actually goes over I-17, which is really exciting, and it goes into the parking structure at Metro Center area. Also, on top of that, Metro Center is being redeveloped, so there are plans to really boost that area up, and we expect that this is going to attract at least 1,400 new daily riders. So we're very excited about this. If you have a chance to go see it, it's really beautiful. It has great art. As you can see in the pictures, the mural is on the actual stairs itself. We had a local artist design this for us, so it's a very beautiful transit station. Next slide, please. South Central Extension and Downtown Hub. So this project is 5.5 miles. It's including 8 stations and 2 park and rides. And we're going to introduce our first 2-line systems. This is going to go through the downtown hub in Phoenix. Construction is 80% complete, and we are continuing on track, and the stations along the South Central corridor. The downtown hub is taking shape, with work continuing on 3rd Avenue loop, where the 2-line systems will meet. The majority of the art has already been installed, so you'll be able to see that. And it is scheduled to open for service in 2025, so we're only 1 year away. Work on the 3rd Avenue loop and downtown hub will be completed by mid-March. So hopefully the 2-line systems where they meet that will be completed. Next slide, please. We also have the Capitol extension. This route was modified to comply with recent legislation restrictions, light rail's proximity to the state capitol. The modification is about a 3/4 of a mile, and it will reconnect with the current light rails at 3rd Avenue and Washington. It will include 2 stations and 4 platforms. The 15th Avenue Loop route still serves strong ridership base and connects with West Phoenix. And our team has hosted a series of public meetings to gather the community feedback on the revised route. We will continue community outreach as the project progresses. The project team is finalizing preliminary engineering and progressing to the design phase. So what this is going to open up for that extension down I-10 as well. Next slide, please. Speaking of the I-10 extension, the Capitol extension, CAPEX, which will extend light rail west of the state capitol from downtown in Phoenix, is beginning to advance to the design phase, like I just mentioned. The extension will continue light rail from the state capitol area to approximately 10 miles along Interstate 17 and Interstate 10 to Desert Sky Transit Center at 79th Avenue and Thomas Road. This will be 8 stations, 3 park and rides, and the project is also set to begin the preliminary engineering phase as well. Next slide, please. Reduced fare. So I know many of you may have heard that we do have a new fare system coming up. So here's a little update on reduced fare, which some of your clients may be using. Next slide, please. So with the launch of the new fare system, riders will be required to have a reduced fare account with Valley Metro to purchase anything other than a one ride cash reduced fare. Riders applying for the reduced fare account will be able to choose between a reduced fare copper card or a Valley Metro app to pay their fare with their phone. Current reduced fare ID holders do not need to reapply. They just need to simply call our customer service number and hit option 3 to get the process started to get their new reduced fare into their account. Riders are encouraged to apply now to get the new fare systems. Many riders can apply online at valleymetrofares.org. And if you want more information, riders should visit our reduced fare website at valleymetro/reduced fare. Information on all the fare upgrades can be found at valleymetro.org/fare technology. So a little information on the current reduced fare card holders. The reduced fare ID will continue to work and will continue to be accepted. This will continue to just be a regular proof of ID until we start to actually use them as the fare media. So right now, what we're trying to do is get everybody into the new fare media so we can turn on that attribute eventually. You can do that by calling the customer service number and hitting option 3, and they'll set you up with everything. We have your information if you are a current reduced fare card holder. Next slide, please. Qualifying and applying. So riders who qualify for reduced fare are the following categories. Now, please keep in mind, the one ride option, it will still be available, but you will not have the benefit of fare capping, which basically means that once you reach certain levels of our fare, you no longer have to pay. But if you don't have that available through an account, you'd have to just continue paying that individual fare. So for example, they'd be able to get to the monthly cost of a reduced fare, and then for the rest of the month, they no longer have to pay anything. That's where the fare capping comes in. So the people available for reduced fare are youth 6 to 18, seniors 65 and older, Medicare card holders. That is the red, white, and blue card by the federal government, not by Access. Disabled veterans 30% or greater, and customers enrolled in Social Security income and Social Security disability insurance programs. Those are who can apply via the website. Here's the website. You need to be able to create an account, and then you can log in and do an application. It is a very self-explanatory and just takes you step by step. Next slide, please. The option to apply in person is still not going away. You can apply. You can download an application at the reduced fare website like you always have been able to, and bring the paperwork and required documents to the Tempe Transit Store or the Mobility Center. The Mobility Center is the only place, however, where you will be able to apply for substance abuse or disability. So just keep that in mind. Paratransit and Right Choice updates. Next slide, please. So with our new, we just had a new provider change hands on October. So we have a few numbers here to share with you. In the first quarter, we had about 70.7 trips. Second quarter, we had 61,900 trips. The percent of those trips on time was 76 and 72%. That percentage is improving. We are working with our contractor at times to come up with various ways to improve that performance. That is on our top priority list at this time. Like I mentioned, the complaints, the majority of them are service delays, and we are working to improve the system's performance. Our goal for this fiscal year is to enhance our customer experience by improving system reliability. Next slide, please. Our Right Choice program. Our Right Choice program is continuing to grow. For the Q1 totals, we had 60,000, about 20,000 per trip. And our Q2, we had 2,200 per trip, about 67 for the quarter. So it's steadily increasing. The percentage of trips on times is improving, and our goal is to be above 90. So we have currently at 88 and 86. Our complaints, we have very complaint volume with the primary area revolving around reservations. When I say the primary area, it's the majority of the complaints that we do get revolve around making reservations. The providers, we are using 12 providers with a total of 108 wheelchair accessible vehicles. And our goal for this year is to decrease the customer complaints and improve on-time performance. Next slide, please. Our VMAG. Next slide. Again, just want to talk a little bit about VMAG. VMAG is one of our committees that we have available, and we encourage anyone that has this, a senior, a person with a disability, a caregiver of a senior or person with disability, or an employee or a volunteer for an organization which serves seniors and people with disabilities, such as a lot of our attendees today here. We ask that they be transit riders or at least represent transit riders in all our modes of transportation, whether it be paratransit, dial-a-ride, fixed route, streetcar, right choice, just our modes of public transportation. Next slide, please. So we ask you to apply because this is a vital part of Valley Metro. We have, as you can see, lots of construction going on. We also have various applications, fair media, things that are changing, and we bring our VMAG group into it because they can think outside of the box that we currently are in. If you're too close to a project, we may miss something. One thing I do like to always let something that VMAG did wonderfully this past year, was that with the Northwest Extension, they wanted to test some wayfinding tracks, basically for people with vision impairments to be able to find their way and recognize what was going on. So VMAG members did go out there. Turned out they could not recognize the wayfinding options that were installed. So they had to go back and redesign that to meet accessibility. Without VMAG, we would have installed something that was not accessible, and VMAG saved us on that. So they are a vital part of Valley Metro with that. So we really encourage people to come and help us out, improve our transit system. You can apply at VMAG accessibility group at our website. You can go to valleymetro.org in accessibility action and go to advisory group, or you can just search VMAG in the search bar. If you have any questions, you can always email vmag@valleymetro.org as well. Thank you. Any questions?
Hi, yes. Do we have any questions for Guillermo? You can put them in the chat or raise your hand. And I just want to, again, reiterate, VMAG is such a great opportunity if you meet the criteria to join in all of the updates that you heard today. VMAG provides some input into that. I do attend some of their meetings, and with the app, with the extensions, they're always providing input, updates, and getting input from the consumers. This is a great community participation. Is our transit program for all of us. So this is such a great opportunity. And Gilmo, I also want to say I'm very excited for the West Valley extension to Desert Sky and the Pavilion because I attend concerts, so I'm really excited to see that coming on.
Yeah, we're really excited about that too. We really hope that helps with traffic. That little area there gets congested pretty good in the morning and in the evening. So if we hope that it encourages ridership to downtown.
Definitely. And it's exciting to see as big of a region that we are that, you know, we don't have a lot of the other transit programs. And you guys are always working and improving. I work downtown and I see, you know, I see all the improvements. I see the bus lines. It's great to see the growth and that transit is growing with us. We do have a question from Marcia that says, people with disabilities and wheelchairs, do they need disability cards to get rides on a Dial-A-Ride?
So Dial-A-Ride slash paratransit is an FTA ADA requirement. What that means is that you have to be ADA certified. So you have to be eligible and go through an assessment process. So one of the requirements to become ADA certified is to have a disability, but also that disability has to hinder you from using the regular bus or the light rail for some or all of your trips. So it's not just having a disability. So once they are ADA certified, they don't need a card to have that because they have to make a reservation with us so we can identify who it is doing that. So there's no card required. However, they do have to go through the ADA certification process. If you have more questions on that, you could always call our mobility center at 602-716-2200 and choose the eligibility option, and they'll be able to send you an application, make a request, or answer any questions you may have regarding our service.
Okay, thank you. We do have another question, and it is from Phil that says, what's the story behind the terminal name at Metro Center, Theta Williams?
Looks like Wendy answered that for us
Oh,
because
yeah.
I did not remember.
Wendy, I will read your response. Theta Williams was a City of Phoenix Mayor Councilwoman for many years and supported transportation. She recently passed away, and the Transit Center is named in her honor. Thank you. Okay. Again, if you have any questions, if after this, please feel free to send it to me or Ezequias and we get that to Guillermo. Guillermo, thank you for presenting today. And of course, you know, thank you for Valley Metro for being a great partner.
All right, thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you. You too. And Ezequias, just put the phone number for Valley Metro's Mobility Center for your use. Okay,
day. Thank
thanks.
you, Ezequias.
Our next agenda item, well, we want to move to our next polling question is, are you a Section 5310 subrecipient representative? Yes, no, or no, but would like more information. So I'll give you some time to answer that question. And this will lead into our next agenda item. Again, thank you for answering our polling questions today. Okay. So a majority of you here today are Section 5310 subrecipients at 77%, with 13% said no, and 10% would like more information. And definitely, if you would like to more information regarding the program, please feel free to send an email to myself or Ezequias, and we will be in touch with you. And thank you, Ezequias, for entering our contact information into the chat. I would now like to introduce Wendy Miller, who is the Federal Grants Administrator for with the City of Phoenix Public Transit Department and our designated recipient for the Section 5310 program, who will provide updates on the 5310 program. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you, Dee Dee. Good afternoon, everybody. I have a couple things that I wanted to go over this afternoon. First, I'm going to give you an overview from the a lot of you should be starting to receive or have already received your feedback from our Section 5310 annual reporting. We have the results and we're sending those out to all of our current subrecipients. If you haven't received it yet, I think we're maybe halfway through the alphabet, so you should be getting them soon. But I wanted to cover some of the most frequently found errors and kind of cover some of that. And then when I'm finished with that, then we'll go over the current situation of the 5310 applications awards from last year. So Hezekiah, I don't know if you saw, but I did. Oh, good. You got it. Thank you. Sorry, I sent that a little late. For our annual milestone progress results, these are the most commonly found issues not related to vehicles. So what we found were folks are still submitting their stuff a little late. So we really appreciate it when you're submitting those on time, because the City of Phoenix is reporting and submitting this information in aggregate to FTA, and we have a deadline that we're meeting. So when you submit your information late, it puts us at a disadvantage, and we appreciate your timely submittals of the information and be planning for it, because it's due at the same time every year. Another issue that we found was that some folks were having the same issue that they had the year previous. So it's really helpful when we're giving you the feedback from the results and letting you know where areas you can improve, is to actually implement those changes and make them for the next year. So we did find on occasion people had recurring issues from the previous year. One of the most common things was having an inactive or outdated SAM.gov account, just making sure that we will not issue any new funding or continue to do reimbursements on your account if you are not currently active with SAM.gov. It takes just a few moments to go in and keep your account active. So that's a requirement for receiving federal funds. So please make sure that you're monitoring that and paying attention. And usually my staff do a really good job of monitoring that and reaching out in advance to let you know. But really, that's what we'd like you to do, is keep that up to date. Another issue was missing copies of a recent single audit. The single audit information is only required for those agencies that receive $750,000 or more of any kind of federal grant funding. These aren't pass-through funds that come through the state. These are not federal I guess I want to say like payroll protection and some of those like loan programs and things of that nature. These are actual federal awarded grants. So when you're receiving $750,000 or more, you're required to do a single audit on an annual basis. And we ask that you submit those as soon as those are completed, and then we ask for them at your annual just to check on that. So we had folks that submitted them, but they submitted them from like 2 years ago and they were outdated. So we're just asking you to double check to make sure that you're submitting the most recent single audit that you completed for your last fiscal year. And then again, this continues to be a pervasive issue with this program. And so I wanted to cover it yet again, that we require that you reach out to the IRS and get an updated 501c3 designation letter. So when you first become a nonprofit, the IRS says, yes, you meet all the requirements and you're good. And that gives you it's a dated letter. And for nonprofits that have been around for a really long time, it doesn't do me much good to read that you were approved in 1975 to be a nonprofit. We need to know that you have a more current status with the IRS. And so that's what the purpose of that letter does, show that you're an active nonprofit and that you're in good standing with the IRS. In lieu of that, we know that during COVID times and during the pandemic that the IRS was very backlogged, and to some degree they still are. They are moving it a little faster. The IRS 990 is your tax filing, and that's required of 501c3s at different intervals, but it really is once every 3 years. So as long as your IRS, your tax filing is, you submit the most recent one from the last 3 years, the most recent one that's on file with the IRS, we will accept that temporarily in lieu of the designation letter. I even found this recently with our grant applications that we just received on Monday, is that we're finding that the designation letters that you're supplying are from 2021 or 2022. We need one or the other in order to show that you are current. So if you need to supply those, please do so. And next slide, please. And the most fun part of the reviews is going, oh, I see a question. Does the IRS letter need to be dated the same year as you are submitting? So we would like for it to be within the past 12 months of the date that your reports are due. So if you're submitting it as a part of your application, it would be a year prior from that date. Or if you're filing in October as part of your annual reporting, it has to be a year from that date. So, and again, if you have an IRS 990 form, you can submit that in lieu until the IRS informs us that their backlog is caught up. And then the annual milestone progress results regarding the vehicle maintenance. This is a very in-depth review. Would like to give a shout out to our equipment folks in our operations division that actually review each and every one of your vehicle records. They open up your maintenance plans, they review it to make sure that all your vehicles are included in that. They review all the VIN numbers. They wanted to make sure that all the information is up to date and current and correct. They review your maintenance logs, and then they go into your backup documentation to ensure that you have the receipts supporting the work that's on your logs. And so what they had found is that one of the requirements is that every year you are required to do a wheelchair lift inspection as part of your annual inspection process. So, or just making sure that you have a wheelchair lift inspection at least annually. So for those of you that use your local mechanics, and if they are not qualified or not able to do a wheelchair lift inspection, you'll need to find someone or go to the dealership that like Model 1 or the current vendor to make sure that you have somebody who's qualified to do that inspection to make sure that it's operational and that it's working appropriately. So that's what we found, was that a lot of folks who turned in their annual inspection paperwork, that wheelchair lift inspection piece was just blank. It wasn't addressed. And so that is a requirement. And so what we're doing is we're going back and trying to re-educate everybody to let you know that if that part's missing, that is not a full inspection. So you can do it outside of the annual inspection and provide 2 reports, a regular annual inspection without it, and then some other form of report to show that the inspection of the wheelchair lift ramp, whatever, was completed. Another issue was that the vehicles within your maintenance plan are not up to date and that they're missing, and that it doesn't have all the details that FTA is looking for within your plan. They would like you to list it not by your vehicle number. Like if you assign your vehicle as vehicle number 103, like an internal agency, we do everything by at least the last 4 digits of the VIN. So they want you to include the VIN number, the year of the vehicle, and the make and model. And some of you were missing that information. So it was just a reminder to go back, and by next year, when you resubmit an updated maintenance plan, that you include that information. Next is vehicle missing the backup documentation for the services. Maybe you submitted us a maintenance log that said that you had an inspection and that you had oil changes and that you had this work done on your car, on the on the vehicle, but we didn't get the receipts and the backup information in the PDF form in order to verify that. So that was another thing we found. Missing inspections altogether. Or missing data on the documentation if there was, the information was there, but your mechanic or your dealership didn't note the VIN number so that we could identify that that was the actual vehicle that was inspected or maintained, or that the mileage wasn't listed on that information. And then again, missing information on the vehicle logs. Perhaps it was missing the annual inspection, or some of the, you had receipts for it, but it wasn't listed on the log, kind of back and forth. So it's just a matter of making sure that you're reviewing all of your information and making sure that it's up to date and it's in the log, there's a receipt to accompany it, and that the inspections are complete. And so another common thing that comes up is that the vehicles are all required, regardless of how many miles that you put on your vehicles or how much they were in service. It is a best practice and a requirement by the city of Phoenix in this program that you are required to have a minimum of one preventive maintenance, basically lube, oil, filter, each year, regardless of the use or the mileage. It just promotes the state of good repair of your vehicle, ensuring that it's kept in good condition. And also all vehicles, regardless of their use or in-service status, must have an annual inspection, regardless of the use or mileage. And further, if you, just a reminder, if you had your vehicle out of service for any length of time longer than 30 days, you are required to inspect that vehicle for a return to service inspection and send us a copy of that if the vehicle was out of service. And another way that you can be reminded to do that is on your maintenance logs. When you're taking your vehicles out of service, there should be in service and out of service dates posted on your vehicle maintenance log. So if it's out of service for a repair, out of service, those dates should be documented in your log. So I'm going to pause there to see, before I go on to the next topic, to see if there's any questions specifically about the milestone progress results or the frequently found issues, or if there was general questions about that process. Not seeing anything. So I don't have a slide for this next piece, but I just wanted to share with you all. I know for those of you that were awarded through last year's, the 2023 Section 5310 process, you have been so patiently waiting for us to finalize your awards from last year, to send you out your grant agreements, and that we were supposed to schedule the vehicle ordering day and all of that. And typically this is done much sooner. I just wanted to continue to share with you, we expect it any day now, but FTA still has not finalized the award of the 2023 process year funds, and we are patiently waiting to get this done so that we can send you your grant agreements, finalize those, and then start the vehicle ordering process for this year. And if it winds up being too much longer, I'm hoping that it's any day now. But if we don't hear back within the next week or so, I'm probably going to just schedule the vehicle ordering day with the manufacturer or our vendor with Model 1, so that we can at least find out and get those ready to go, so that we know when it's awarded that we can place the orders quicker for those vehicles. Because what we don't want to do is run into the model year end and be the last in line to order those vehicles, because that puts us in a precarious position of maybe not being able to supply the most cost-effective vehicles with the current model year, and we don't want those prices to raise. So we should be working on scheduling something sometime in March, whether or not we get the final award from FTA. So I just wanted to share an update with you on that. And I don't remember, it's been a very, very long time, but I don't remember the last time, or if ever, that we hadn't awarded last year's awards before the next year's was due. So this was a new process for me. So the question is 2022 and 2023 awards. So, right, we just submitted the 2024 applications. Those were due to MAG yesterday, Monday by noon. So it was the last year's awards from 2023 that have not been processed. The 2022, there are still some vehicles outstanding that the orders have been placed, but they have not been delivered yet. And for those of you that ordered Ford Transits, those are the vehicles that are still outstanding, and we are still waiting manufacturer schedules and delivery dates. So unfortunately, as you know, the supply chain, the price increases, everything that has kind of been the bane of our existence in all transportation vehicles across the board nationally. This continues to be a pervasive issue nationally, and we're still seeing the effects of that. So delayed vehicle orders, cancellations, price changes. We've been through it all. And again, this is also still why the non-ADA vehicles, the minivans and passenger vans are not available, is because some of those are not available, or the FTA, they don't meet FTA requirements for Buy America. So that is my update. And for next time, we were going to give you an update on the drug-free workplace requirements today, but our compliance staff were not able to get that together by today, so I apologize for that. But for next time, and maybe at one of our subrecipient trainings, we're going to focus on that, and we'll give you a heads up on that when that's coming. So if you need to implement that program, if you don't have one in place, we can get you set up and get you some information on that. And that's my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Wendy. That's a whole lot of information.
I know, sorry.
So definitely, if you have any questions, feel free to enter that. Yes, thanks, Wendy. I just want to thank Wendy and the City of Phoenix staff. This is just kind of a sneak peek of all of the work that they have to do regarding compliancy. And I just want to let you know that any of the emails that go out to subrecipients, MAG staff is also copied on, and we're looking at some of the most frequent areas that people are a little deficient in the reporting. So we will take that up with our sub-region mobility managers and look at ways where we can support you and support the City of Phoenix, ensuring that all of the information comes in correctly. And I would just like to suggest that, as you can tell, this is just an overview of the many components that Phoenix pulls together in the reporting and the compliance review. I would just suggest to really pay attention and make sure that the information is provided in the form that they request, and any forms that they use, that they're all, standard, and reach out to us. We're here to support you. Thank you for thank you for Wendy's. I agree. I thank you to Wendy too. It's a lot of, there's a lot of moving pieces. And again, thank you for supporting our subrecipients and your time here today. If you have any questions, if you think of something after the meeting, feel free to, again, email, utilize the the section 5310 Phoenix email address, and I'm pretty sure Keys will put that in the chat. Or, yes, thank you, section 5310 at phoenix.gov. Or if you feel comfortable, you can reach out to Keys or myself. So thank you, Wendy, for your update. Okay. See no other questions come through. Oh, thank you, Wendy. Our next polling questions is, are you aware of the different programs offered by the Maricopa County Department of Public Health? Are you very aware, somewhat aware, not aware, or unsure? So I will give you some time to fill that out. And submit that question. Okay, and I just wanted to say, utilizing this section 5310 at phoenix.gov is a great email address, and that goes to all of the staff, and they will figure out who is best to answer any questions that you have. And so the results of our question, are you aware of the different programs offered by Maricopa County Department of Public Health? 59% say they are somewhat aware. So I am really glad for this next agenda item. 27% said not aware, 8% said unsure, and then 6% say very aware. So we hope after this presentation, we will change that percentage of very aware to a higher percentage. I would like to now move to our next agenda item, and that is the Maricopa County Department of Public Health updates. And we have had a great partnership from Maricopa County and Lori Thomas, who was the manager of the Healthy Aging, who provided us with information and updates from Maricopa County Department of Public Health. She announced at our last meeting she was retiring, but I'm really pleased that the Department of Public Health will continue to support TAP and ensure that we are all up to date on public health related items. I would now like to introduce our new representatives here today, Julie Schaller and Hamaz Shami, who will provide their introductions and a brief update for Maricopa County Department of Health, Public Health. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, Dee Dee. Appreciate everyone and the time that you're giving us for this presentation. We have a very, very brief presentation. We're just sort of doing some introduction today. And next time we will be providing a more robust presentation. So you can go to the next slide. So, and I do want to shout out to Lori Thomas. She is just the most sweet, wonderful person and did so much. And she actually was the person who hired me to come to Maricopa County Department of Public Health from Washington State about 10 years ago. So it's a small world, and she and I kind of rotated around together on many projects. So wishing her all the best in her retirement, that's for sure. So as Dee Dee said, my name is Julie Scholler. I'm the manager for the Office of Nutrition and Active Living. And I've been working in this office for about 9 years. Our main purpose in our office is we help communities break down barriers and improve access to healthy food and ways to be active. And our funding comes from the USDA. It's the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program education arm of that. We don't do the like food stamp benefit and cards, but we do the education piece of it. And we do a lot of work around increasing access to those food resources. And this all includes, transportation. And so I think that's where we saw a nice fit to this group. And then I'm going to hand it over to Hamza. He is going to introduce himself and just share a brief overview of the work that goes on with his program.
Thank you, Julie. First off, can you see my camera? It's showing up as black.
I cannot see you.
Okay,
No.
don't know why. Well, I do apologize about that, guys. But my name's Hamza Shami. I am the health promotion supervisor. I've been with the county for about 9 months now. So just like Julie spoke about, we help communities, we promote community engagement. I'm more in charge of the active living side. of what we do in the Office of Nutrition and Active Living. So a lot of what we do, we have an entity called Park RX, which is essentially an entity of the county, which we activate parks and we promote community engagement as well as physical activity within the park. But that's not really what we do. A lot of what we do is we kind of help promote advocacy and capacity for built environment changes, as well as the capacity for physical or health education, as well as physical activity. So I'm very new to public health. I've enjoyed working in it thus far, and I have a lot to learn still, and I'm honored to have Julie as a mentor.
Thank you, Hamza. Next slide, please. So I know Lori used to give a lot of updates about things that are happening at public health. And we pulled a couple slides to share of some highlights. And then after the meeting, I will send Hezekiah a link to the full PowerPoint presentation that Dr. Staub does every month. So the first topic we wanted to just highlight is, of course, the measles outbreak. There's been quite a bit of news and publicity about this. We've had that exposure. There's been announcements about where that exposure has been. And again, in the full release, you can see the sites where those exposures have been. And they're just really just encouraging everyone to, make sure that you're updated on your vaccinations for yourself, for your family, for your community. Next slide, please. This is really a key to public health and getting the awareness out about what our department does. And as stated in the poll, there is some unawareness about what public health does. Very understandable. We do tend to work behind the scenes a lot, and that's okay. We are there for those emergencies. We're there for you to support you with community voice and advocacy around, it could be anything from nurse practitioners visiting. We have the WIC program, Women, Infants, and Children, as part of our services. And as you know, healthy aging that Lori Thomas worked on, a lot of health disparity kinds of issues. So there's lots to learn about us. If you ever have questions, this is the number to call the CARES team. This is open for anyone to call. And they not only can connect you with public health programs, they can connect you with community programs throughout the county. And so, your community members can call and get services. They have, they used to be the 211 program, our Find Help Phoenix program. And so they're really connected to what is going on and all the resources available. So I highly encourage, if anyone has questions, to contact them. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, the community updates, Dr. Staub is our medical director at the Maricopa County Public Health, and he provides updates to community partners once a month. So this is the date. It's usually the third Tuesday of the month at 2 o'clock. The next one will be Tuesday, March 19th. And I highly encourage anyone, any community partner, share this, and you can sit and hear any updates that he has as the medical director. And then there's also a special webinar just for school partners. This really came out of that whole, the COVID pandemic, where we needed to get information directly to schools and partners. And we've just continued it because it's shown to be of value. You can join those, you can ask questions. It's really a great opportunity to learn more about what's going on. Next slide. So we just want to thank you for this opportunity. Again, we will be sharing more information at the next meeting. We look forward to partnering with all of you and learning more about what each of you do. We have worked with Valley Metro. I see names on here and organizations that we've partnered with in the past. And as Hamza said, we we do a lot of work around the built environment, getting community involved and, finding out like what their challenges might be, whether that's through abilities or other things to access our beautiful parks that we have around here and places to be able to access healthy food. So looking forward to developing more partnerships, and we really appreciate this opportunity to share.
Thank you, Julie and Hamza. We again appreciate the continued partnership that we have with the Maricopa Department of Public Health. We look forward to hearing many of the other programs and resources that you offer. And as you saw today, a lot of our agencies or participants here today are from agencies that provide services to the targeted population of older adults and persons with disability who may need that additional support and resources and information. So we thank you. We look forward to your presentation at our next meeting, and we hope to have a long partnership ahead of us. So thank you. On to our next agenda item. As part of our TAP program, we offer information and resources for you and your consumers that you can take back to your organizations to share. We are pleased today that our next presenters reached out to share a new resource that could affect our consumers and community. I would like to welcome to speak today, Vanessa Mendoza, who is the Community Engagement Coordinator to present on a new program from the Office of Accountability and Transparency at the City of Phoenix. Welcome, Vanessa.
Hi, thank you. We also have our interim director, Shannon Johani, who is here, and also one of our monitor supervisors, Mark Gerba. So all of us will be present and letting you know who we are and what we do. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so sorry. So, like they said, my name is Vanessa Mendoza, and I am the Community Engagement Coordinator for the Office of Accountability and Transparency. We are an independent agency that was established by the City of Phoenix to provide civilian oversight of the Phoenix Police Department and a way for the community members to freely communicate any complaints, commendations, and concerns. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. Is there a reason why it's not going? Not sure why it's not calling. Sorry, guys. Our system was down earlier too, and now it's not wanting to move.
You may want to share again, stop sharing and share again.
There we go. Okay, here we are. Sorry about that. So again, we are a City Phoenix agency who was created by council in 2021. We have a staff of, we're currently hiring, but we are supposed to be staffed at 15 positions. And we are located downtown at 350 West Jefferson in Phoenix. So just a little bit about who we are not. We have a lot of misconceptions of who we are, what we do. So this is just going to describe in a little bit of detail of who we are not. So OAT does not exist to defund the police. We don't exist to defend the police. Our work will involve facts derived from investigations and experiences shared by the Phoenix community concerning their interactions with the Phoenix Police Department. In our reports and statements, we'll go wherever those facts take us. Per our Phoenix City Code, what we do is we receive community complaints and commendations. We establish procedures for receiving anonymous complaints. We complete conduct community outreach, which is what my position and role is. We go out into the community, we give presentations to different organizations and agencies to let them know who OAT is, what we do in the process for filing complaints with our agency. We also support services to impacted community members, and we monitor administrative investigations of the department's Professional Standards Bureau, with the Professional Standards Bureau, which the House Bill 2721. I don't know if Mark, you'd like to speak a little bit onto what that bill was and what it kind of stopped us from doing initially. Oh, you're on mute.
I'll talk about it when we get to my part of this.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I'm so sorry, you guys. It keeps getting stuck. I don't know if it is our network that is just not allowing me to continue.
Vanessa, if you want to stop sharing, I can try to share mine.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do that.
As we need you to. Okay.
Okay, let's do that because it just keeps getting stuck.
Is everyone able to see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, mine's freezing too. Oh, there we go. Okay.
So I'll pick up from here. And my name is Mark Gerba. I am the monitor supervisor. These are some of the key things that we do in this office. We make recommendations regarding policy issues. We assist with the mediation to resolve disputes. This is a program that we'll talk about a little bit later on in this presentation, but mediation is something that we're excited about and think has a lot of potential, but is not currently fully in operation. There's aspects of it are, but we'll talk about that. And then we administer a youth outreach program and address other issues pertaining to policing that are of concern to the community. If you can forward, Shannon. Next one. So some of what we don't do, it's important that you all understand and for the community to understand that we don't determine the discipline that happens in situations involving police misconduct investigations. That's entirely with the police department. We don't make recommendations as it relates to that or determine what it is. So we like to make sure that that's clear up front. We also don't criminally investigate whatever activities a potential involved employee might be involved in. And then we don't determine the rules and policies of the department. And again, on the other slide, we do have a role in that. We certainly are going to be asked for our input. And so that's one of the really good things that we have. People can file complaints with us. So we are not an investigative agency, and this goes to the House bill that Vanessa brought up earlier. There was a bill that was announced after the ordinance was put into place that limited any civilian authority or office from doing this work a particular way. You needed to have 2/3 police officers involved in your office before you could be involved in investigating. So They already have that. They have something called internal affairs. And so doing that again didn't really make sense. So what we did is we took on this monitoring role. So what we do is monitor investigations that are conducted by the police department and then comment about those. If you just step back for just a second, and what that entails is that, is that we can, and the ordinance provides an avenue for people to bring their complaints to us. So while we can't investigate it, we can take those complaints, we can take the statement from somebody. So if somebody that you're interacting with is not comfortable complaining about their interaction with the police department, then OAT's the location you want to send them. And then you can take it to the next slide. So what happens after that, or what are some of the authorities that we have? We are mandated to monitor the Phoenix Police Department's investigations of officer-involved shootings, death in custodies, any duty-related incident that results in serious bodily injury, or where somebody dies, so different than death in custody, but dies in an interaction that does not involve an officer-involved shooting, or other incidents that you read below here, which have to do with them being charged in some type of crime personally, and that crime has something to do with their use of force in it. So that's what we are mandated to monitor. And then we also have jurisdiction that allows us to expand and look at other investigations that are pretty much open to whatever we want to look at. So our authority on that level is pretty broad, and that's a benefit as well. And I'll just talk in general, just so you all know. So what's the benefit if all you can do is monitor the investigation? Well, what we end up doing in these various situations in which we're monitoring is we get all of the materials that the police department considered as part of their investigations. We review those, we review what they did in that investigation, and then we determine through our efforts whether they actually kind of lived up to what they were supposed to be doing in these type of investigations. So we're definitely getting a read into how the police are policing the police. And then we have an opportunity to comment about whether we think they fell short, whether they think they did a good job, and various things like that. And we've just released 2 of our new reports, our first reports in the media. And I'll let Shannon talk a little bit about that as she finishes this presentation.
Hello, all. My name is Shannon Yohani. I am the interim director at the Office of Accountability and Transparency. So what I will talk about is first mediation, and then I'll do just a quick summary about our most recent reports, and then I will hop off, and Vanessa and Mark will be available to answer any questions that you might have. So the first thing, the other aspects, we have our community engagement branch of our office. We have our monitoring branch for. So mediation, okay, and you'll have to be patient with me here. These are animated slides, so that it'll take me a second or 2 to click through these. So mediation is an efficient and effective alternative dispute resolution process. And mediation, for the purposes of OAT, is really a facilitated conversation. It's not legally binding. There aren't any sort of legal agreements that come out of it, but it's that facilitated conversation, and we have it in 2 different forms. So first, the process is that when we have complaints that we are aware of, they are reviewed by our monitor team and our director of mediation to sort out whether or not it's a complaint that's appropriate for mediation. There are certain types that would not be appropriate for mediation, but then there are some that would be better for this particular setting. Typically things like professionalism complaints and things like that are great for officers, and then I'll talk a little bit more about department. So the mediators themselves will be a pool. We'll have a mediator pool that's experienced and impartial practitioners. The mediations last no more than 2 hours, and the goals are to boost respect, trust, communication, and understanding between PPD and the community members. And so, as Mark and Vanessa both mentioned, I know you folks are all over Maricopa County. We are specifically limited to the Phoenix Police Department. So we can only address, both through our mediation and through our monitoring, we only address complaints that relate specifically to the Phoenix Police Department, and specifically just the police department. All right. So the benefits. The benefits for law enforcement officers who participate in mediation is that they will not face discipline. So this is an alternative to discipline, and which is why it's one of those things that typically is for the lower level offenses misconduct. And the other aspect of it is that there's an ownership of the outcome. When there's a goal of mutual understanding, the participating officer or representative can gain a better understanding from the community member about what their concerns are, and vice versa. The community member can gain a better understanding about why the officer or the department responded or engaged in a particular way. It also fosters respect and cooperation. When both parties are coming to the table from a place of respect, there's a lot more likelihood of a positive resolution. And so again, I apologize for the slowness on the animations here. So the benefits for complainants, they're able to speak for themselves. Nobody is speaking on their behalf or sharing it from their perspective. It comes directly from the complainant. They're able to share what they experienced and the way that made them feel without any filter from OAT or anybody else in the city. They have the opportunity to educate law enforcement and the participants about the impacts that it had on them. And they also have the opportunity to learn back from law enforcement or the PD representatives about those decision-making processes. And it fosters community harmony. It builds better connections between the department and the community. So here, question for you is, how many mediated disputes lead to resolution? On average, the Harvard Program on Negotiation found that 80% of mediated disputes lead to resolution. So it's a very beneficial and helpful process. When Kate, who is our director of mediation, ran the AG's mediation program, the agreement rates went from 85% to 92%. Most of the folks that are evaluating these, particularly law enforcement, have very high rates of approval and agreement and acceptance, believing that the mediation was helpful and beneficial for them. And the rates are in the low 90s to high 80s for both. So thank you. And so I'll just briefly mention, so we had 2 reports that released this week. Those are available on the OAT website. You can also search them. They're available on the OAT website. And then there are a few news articles out there where you can learn about those particular reports, what they entail, and what our feedback is. What you'll see is, as Mark was describing, our role is to review the department's administrative investigations of misconduct, and then our commentary is about the quality of those investigations, whether or not they were complete and thorough. And through those, you'll see that we identify whether they are complete and thorough. And even if they are found as complete and thorough, we still make recommendations sometimes to the department about what are places where they can engage in best practices or improvements to the system to make sure that these investigations are thorough and complete. It's problematic for the community when these investigations are not made thorough and complete, particularly where investigation, because we want to make sure that if that's where the department is landing on a misconduct evaluation, we know that they've truly looked at everything they should look at to make that finding. The same on the same hand for officers. If an officer is going to be disciplined for a particular behavior or for misconduct, we want to make sure that also that investigation is thorough and complete. So all of our recommendations are for future investigations. We do not comment on any current or active investigations. So all of our reports come out after the full process through the police department and the administrative investigation and any suggested discipline is concluded. So you'll see that the reports that we released are from the incidents happened in late 2022. So we wait for that whole process. So you will see they'll be a little not contemporaneous to that time frame, but still valuable for improvements moving forward. So I'm going to jump off for now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then Mark and Vanessa can answer any questions that y'all may have.
Mark,
Thanks,
could you address the comment that was in the chat?
The one about financials, whether it's
Yes.
expanding the city financials. So there was a question in the chat about whether our authority would expand the city financials, and I answered it out there, but I'll do it verbally here, and that is no, we won't be expanding to that. Our authority is under an ordinance specific to the oversight of the police department.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Vanessa, Mark, or Shannon? I greatly appreciate this presentation. As you know, from looking at the participants, most of us here today are working with consumers that needed an additional support sometimes. And it's great to know that there is a resource out there to help with the communication part if they were ever in this type of situation. And again, for those attending today, our presentation will be loaded on our MAG website. We highly encourage you to take this information back to your organization and staff, reach out to the city regarding this program. And it's great that you see potential of or wanting to know about expanding this program. I believe with the success of this program, that could be a possibility in the future. And so we definitely want to support you as you support us and the community. Do we have any other questions? Vanessa, Mark, did you have a comment?
No, I'm just going to say thank you.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. And if anyone would like any more information, we do have flyers, brochures on what the process is to be able to file a complaint or accommodation. Please reach out to us. Also, we'd also table events, give presentations throughout the community. So if you would like us to do that as well, please feel free to reach out to us.
Thank you,
Thank
Vanessa.
you.
Mark and Shannon, definitely reach out to us or to Vanessa, and we can get you that information. They do want to do public engagement regarding this program. It is fairly new. Again, thank you so much. And as I said, we are working with those consumers that may need additional support and help. And this is a great resource that you offered here today. So thank you.
Thank you.
And as always, if you have any questions after this presentation that you think of, please feel free to email me and Ezekias, and we can get it to the appropriate person. Okay, on to our next agenda item. The next agenda item is where we like to highlight the great work that your organizations are doing for our community. And the agency that we're highlighting today is a great volunteer program supporting our community in the West Valley and beyond. I've known Duet since I actually came into my role here, and Duet has been such a great resource on volunteer programs and our coordination efforts. So we are pleased to have with us today Ann Wheat, who is the Executive Director of Duet. Thank you, Ann.
Thank you so much. Now let me see if I can get my PowerPoint up and, oops, there we go. Hezekias, I think you might have popped it up there for me, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to do it here and take over that.
Yeah, you can go ahead and share.
All right, can you see
Yes.
the slide? All right, well, thank you all so much. I know I'm among many friends, many folks that who we have worked with and partnered with over the years, but it's nice to have the opportunity to kind of give you an update on Duet and the work that we're doing. And I'll just touch on our history a little bit. Duet was founded in 1981 by the Reverend Dr. Dosha Carlson, who had developed a deep concern for who she called the invisible elderly. And I love this picture that I found of some of our very first transportation volunteers from 1981 when Duet was founded. At the time, and by the way, I didn't know we ever had a station wagon, but there it is. We, for many years, were called Beatitude Centered Door for developing older adult resources. And about 15 years ago, we rebranded to Duet Partners in Health and Aging. And at that point, the staff was all very happy not to be told that we didn't know how to spell the word door. So at any rate, it's been a long, rich history. Dosha's first initiative was to recruit and train volunteers to support homebound adults by providing rides to medical appointments and other locations. And I'm very proud of the history of this organization. Back in the 1990s, Robert Wood Johnson Foundation took a real interest in our model for providing volunteer services for homebound adults, or neighbors as we call them. And they actually funded the cost for our director at the time to travel around the Western United States over 8 years to help faith communities and nonprofit agencies to start their own volunteer transportation programs based on Duet's model. And then Robert Wood Johnson, we trained them free of charge, and then Robert Wood Johnson Foundation gave them seed monies to start these programs. And we don't have an exact number of how many are running still, but it's around, we believe, 80 just in the Western United States. So our mission is to promote health and well-being through vitally needed services for 3 core areas: homebound adults, family caregivers, and grandfamilies or kinship families. And it's important, I think, to share that for 43 years, Duet's core services have all been provided free of charge. Our vision is a community where every person ages with compassion, dignity, and hope. We work very hard toward that vision. I won't read our values to you, but these are very important to all of us in the work that we do. But I would like to share our guiding principle for our 2021-2024 strategic plan. This was the overarching guiding principle. In everything we do, Duet is an inclusive, diverse, equitable, and accessible organization. So I'm preaching to the choir here, so I'm just going to touch on some of these statistics from the Arizona State Plan on Aging. So the fastest growing age group in the US is people over age 85, and second fastest are those 100 years of age and over. Experts predict a 12-fold increase in centenarians by the year 2060. And that a 10-year-old child alive today has a 50% chance of living to be over 100. And we've certainly, over the decades that we've been serving the Valley, we have seen the age of our homebound neighbors continue to go up. Older adults 55 plus are the fastest growing group of people experiencing homelessness. And for most, it's first time homelessness. The epidemic of loneliness is a national health crisis, with health risks equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And our model really seeks to try to help address these significant challenges. And we really think, and I'll talk a little bit about how our model does this, but that we really work hard to do our part to ensure that nobody is left alone and lonely through their aging years. And this one, I'm just going to touch on the top bullet that about 25% of Arizonans aged 65 to 74 years of age reported having a disability. For those aged 75 years and older, the number is doubled to 48%. And our services do encompass any adult age 18 plus with a disability. And so we're very inclusive that way. And this picture, I think, really captures the face of Duet. We mostly serve seniors, and our typical neighbor, as we call the folks we serve, is a woman in her 80s living alone with multiple chronic health conditions on a fixed income of $1,200 to $1,500 a month. The number of Duet service recipients in their 90s and hundreds has increased significantly over the decades. Lois Friday is just one of our centenarians. And I think this is really kind of a remarkable thing. She remembers a lot, and she's willing to share stories with her volunteers, but she remembers her great-grandparents who were born into slavery. And that really says a lot about who it is that we all collectively are serving. A little bit about our service areas. And here's a map that shows you in the kind of that purple color. We serve residents of Glendale, Peoria, Phoenix, Paradise Valley, Fountain Hills, and Scottsdale south of Bell Road. So a little bit about the homebound services we provide. Grocery shopping, transportation to medical and social service appointments, post office, pharmacy, that kind of thing. Friendly visiting and phoning, paperwork assistance, including helping with paying bills. Handy person services. We don't want someone who's fragile climbing up on a stepladder to change a filter. We take care of changing light bulbs, replacing filters, those kinds of things. And then tech assistance. We provide tablets and training and support for many of our homebound neighbors. So our model is this: we have volunteer drivers. So these folks, what they do is drive multiple folks who are service recipients of Duet services, primarily to medical appointments, but also to some of these other locations, just to help them live successfully in their homes for longer. We also, though, and this started 43 years ago by Doshin, we still follow this model. We pair many of our volunteers, if they're interested, one-on-one with their homebound neighbor. And we find that to be incredibly successful. Grocery shopping is part of that, the friendly visiting, or phone calling, paperwork assistance. That all is really done on that one-to-one, through that one-to-one relationship. And we know that that benefits both the homebound neighbors and the volunteers tremendously. All of them on our annual surveys continue to give 95% and above satisfaction with it. And our homebound neighbors tend to not refer to volunteers. They get confused. They'll say, "Oh, you mean my friend?" And I think that's a really wonderful thing when we hear that, because it means that something special is really happening. I love sharing this. Our longest served neighbor has been with Duet for 39 years, and our longest serving volunteer continues to support her, has been for 36 years and going. Many of our volunteers are with us 5, 10, 20 years. So a couple of trends I just wanted to touch on that we are seeing and still really struggling sometimes to address, and working on creative solutions. So certainly there is a steady increase in requests for services, and that of course ties to the aging trends of Arizona. Our wait list since the pandemic and during the pandemic really exploded. We never in our history had seen numbers like this, but we typically now have 100+ people waiting for their volunteers to be able to help them. And part of that, our struggle is as we were founded with a really strong connection to faith communities who would provide a majority of our volunteers, refer people who needed help with services, and help donate funds to make these services available. But that decline in volunteerism really has had an impact, but we keep working and are finding some creative solutions. And then most recently, this just happened a few weeks ago, and without notice, we found that the 4 largest health insurance providers cut transportation support. And now our staff, just without notice, they're fielding 50 to 100 extra calls a week. So that's going to be a big challenge. So a little bit about what we're trying to do about this. What are the strategies that we're deploying? And I love this slide of a young man who's 15 years old in this picture, and this was just a little news clip that was done. He's with his neighbor. His mother called one day and said, my son is just pestering me. He wants to help an elderly person. And can I sign him up? And our staff said, well, he's too young to pass the background checks, but if you would come along and both of you would get trained through our orientation, and you go ahead and get your background check done and pass, you can be the primary volunteer and he can come with you. Well, they're still to this day providing just the most wonderful multi-generational support for their neighbor. And she just loves them both so much, and they love her. Nikhil he's just a great spokesperson for this. And we think he really introduced us to a new way of looking at things where we might be able to really start to engage, families to be more active in participating and improving their communities and all, and doing it as a family. And it's worked so well. And so that's one of the things we'll pursue. We also are an active member with the network of nonprofit serving seniors. Hello out there. Most of members are probably here on this call. And we're very excited about Piper Trust's investment to help us create holistic marketing strategies that for volunteer recruitment that really have the branding would be really, would work for all of us. It would get the word out much better. And we will be starting soon working with a consultant from Big Duck to develop a strategy for moving that forward. Duet has worked hard, and I think we all face, compared to the for-profit sector, real challenges in that, the idea that we would invest in marketing is just sort of, in a robust way, is something nonprofits just shouldn't be spending their money on. We were fortunate to get funding from a couple of funders, one for one of our specific programs, and I wanted to share the results of that. So this was an individual donor who for an initiative called Meaning and Hope Institute, a brand new virtual community of support for family caregivers of persons with Alzheimer's disease and related dementias. And so we started from scratch building a website. So we worked with a company. We were able to contract with Community Boost, which serves exclusively nonprofits to help them with their social marketing needs. And here were some results from about a $35,000 investment over our first year, really about the first 7, which was about 7 months of 2023. They had us start a Facebook page for Meaning and Hope Institute. We hadn't had one in 7 months. After creating the Facebook page, followers grew from 0 to we're well over 11,000 now. And by comparison, Duet has had its Facebook page for well over a decade, and we have struggled our way up to 2,700. And then the other area where they've really focused on us, and hopefully you all are taking advantage, everybody who's a nonprofit anyway, of the free Google Ads, which provides a nonprofit with up to $10,000 a month in free Google advertising. In 2021, it's great to know, but it's hard to do without expert help. In 2021, Duet averaged a monthly Google ad spend of $114. With Community Boost's help, our monthly 2023 Google ads spend shot up to well over $3,000 a month and continued to grow. So I just pulled these numbers because I think it's pretty impressive. October of 2023, we had climbed to $6,324 in monthly Google ads spend. So all free for us. November, we almost hit the 10,000 limit, 9,986. And by December, we surpassed it at $10,336. So I offer that up as, hope that there are ways forward that with investment, we can really inject a lot of energy and success in our volunteer recruitment and all. The ripple effect has been incredibly positive. We got noticed by a national CBS correspondent, and he spent about 6 weeks ago or 2 months ago, 2 days with us. And we anticipate in the next couple of weeks that we will have a segment on CBS Saturday morning. So I can't tell you when, and hopefully now that I've blabbed about this, if you happen to see it, it'll be good. But we're pretty excited that this all came about from a really a fairly nominal investment. Showing us what. Oh, sorry. I did not want to show you that video. It's okay. It just clicked on, but I want to make sure I get done within time. But and talk about a couple of other really important services that we offer. There's an estimated 60,000 kinship families in Arizona. Most of them are grand families, where it's grandparents taking on the responsibility of raising their grandchildren late in life because their own children were incapable of being parents. So these are families that this wasn't expected. The situations are traumatic, the circumstances. The children often come with trauma and neglect. But we have just a fabulous team of social workers, 2 social workers, and then a bilingual case manager as well. And in 2023, we served almost 500 grandparents and 700 to 800 grandchildren. And I think it's important to note that over 70% of the grand families who we serve are considered informal, which means they received not a penny of help through foster care. So we help these families not just to survive, but to thrive. And like all of our services, we never tell anyone, your time is up, it's time to go. So many of the families who started 20 years ago with us with infants are now sending pictures of their grandchildren in cap and gown graduating from high school or college. So it's really important work there. And again, legal assistance, help with, let me get to that slide here. Information and referral, support groups, legal guidance, respite funds, educational workshops, and a lot of social and cultural outings that bring these grand families together, all provided free of charge, and it makes all the difference to these families. And then finally, we have a huge outreach to family caregivers that's been going for most of our 43 years. And it keeps growing because of just the aging trajectory. More older adults and adult children really struggle now to care for older adults with really difficult progressive medical conditions like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. Arizona has the highest rate of diagnosis for Alzheimer's and related dementias. So more than half of the family caregivers we work with, which number about 600, are struggling to deal with this. But we can make such a difference by bringing them out of isolation, bringing them into community to learn the skills they need, lower their stress, and help them to be able to navigate this very, very difficult journey. We run about close to 30 support groups, including a couple of grief groups for dementia family caregivers every single month among all of those services we offer. Information referral assistance is incredibly important to them. We do monthly webinars, family caregiver symposium, bringing in nationally renowned speakers each year, and our newest program, a peer mentoring program, where we train those former family caregivers or those who are at a very stable place to volunteer to be partnered with a brand new or family caregiver or a family caregiver in crisis to give them that extra support that they need. And then this, I would just recommend that any of you who know some family members struggling to care for a person with dementia, the statistics on how those family caregivers fare, especially if they're older adult spousal caregivers, is dire without support. About 63%, one study showed, of older adult family caregivers who have one chronic health condition predecease the person who they're trying to care for. So with this support, they can navigate this journey successfully. We recognize that so many of them were trapped in isolation. And so with that, we have created Meaning and Hope Institute and a 10-part workshop series that all free of charge that really helps them lower their stress. And with that, I hope that's a good overview of Duet Partners in Health and Aging. And I'll open it to any questions you might have or comments, but I guess I'd like to just say, if you look at our new logo that was attached to changing our name to Duet, it's a butterfly, but if you look outside of the butterfly, it's the silhouettes of two people looking face to face at each other as equals. And that is really how we approach everything we do. So thank you very much for your time.
And thank you so much for your presentation, which is having good comments in the chat. This is great work that Duet is doing, and you continue to do it during the pandemic. So kudos to you. And I like how you touch base regarding the caregivers. Many of our participants here today are providing services to consumers in their day program. But not only are their consumers aging, but their caregivers are also aging. And that was something that you touched on. So those caregivers of the consumers from these nonprofit agencies, they're also aging. And this is a topic on a regional level that we would like to explore a little bit more. At our last meeting, we did ask our participants if they utilize volunteers at their program. And I was pretty surprised that, quite a few have utilized volunteers at their agency. So I think this is a great area that we can tap into. And as you noted, that volunteerism has gone down, and that's not only a regional issue or a statewide issue, it's a national issue.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that we would like to also look into. Such great work that you're doing. And unfortunately, also kind of we've had a familiar issue regarding the notice that some health programs are not funding a lot of programs. And what we found out, we've been fielding a lot of phone calls that some of the health programs are not limiting the transportation. So we're fielding phone calls where consumers had transportation covered in their insurance policy, and that is no longer the case. So we've seen that here at MAG, an increase of phone calls regarding assistance with transportation. We value your partnership. When I say I've known about you ever since I've been here, I haven't been here since 1980 at MAG, but I've known about Duet and the former executive director there. Great program, great resource, always willing to help out. When you said, you have been in place since 81.
81, since 1981.
Yes. Former me used to say that's just a couple of years ago. I mean, for me, it's a couple of years ago. But over 40 years providing these services to our community. We really thank you, and we look forward to a continued partnership.
Thank you so much. And our name is Duet Partners in Health and Aging for a reason. We love to collaborate. It's built into our DNA. So I would welcome any calls or emails from any of you who'd like to chat with us further. Thank you.
Thank you. And as I noted again, as I noted before, our presentation will be loaded onto our MAG website if you need any of that information. So thank you, Anne. We appreciate all the work that you do. I would now like to go into our regional human services transportation updates. And the first one is thank you for all who submitted for the 2024 Section 5310 application process. They were due, as Wendy had mentioned, Monday, February the 26th at noon, and we have quite a few applications. This looks to be a competitive process. So the region now has two urban areas in our region. So we have the Phoenix Mesa Scottsdale urban area, and then we have the Phoenix West, Goodyear, and Avondale area. This is a yearly open competitive process. We do have funding apportionments for both of those areas. And for those that applied this year, MAG and the City of Phoenix staff is in the process of conducting our 2-week internal review. We are conducting our reviews, and if we have any questions regarding your applications during these 2 weeks, we will reach out to you. So just keep that in mind. It is, as a reminder, it is a federal requirement for those who applied and those who are thinking of applying. It is a federal requirement to participate in coordination efforts such as attending this TAP meeting. Also, attending any of our workshops and trainings that support you in your programs. And has Anne just pointed out the great work that you are providing our community and helping those individuals that need that additional assistance, from Valley Metro and all their transit programs to the cities, to the City of Phoenix and all of the nonprofit and government agencies. You all work together and you're on the front line of providing that support for our community. And at the last TAP meeting, we had mentioned we are rolling out a recognition program for those of you who are on the front lines. We are looking at recognition for years of service and driver of the quarter, because we understand you are the ones providing these services. You're the ones every day face to face with the consumers, and we cannot thank you enough. So we just thought we would like to have a recognition at our TAP meetings. So thank you all to the agencies for submitting. We will do a highlight at each meeting of our recognitions. I encourage you to apply. So I would like to now recognize our first recognition for the years of service. Next slide. And this one goes out to Carol Crittenden from UCP of Central Arizona, who has been on the job for 19 years. Carol has been a consistent employee, rarely taking a day off, and has been described as having a heart of gold. She understands the importance of being there for members as a consistent and reliable caregiver. It also noted about her, she is a role model and trainer for new employees. Her supervisor noted that she realizes without Carol's dedication to the company and members, UCP would not be the same. Thank you, Carol, for all that you do for our community. And it's just one small part that we like to recognize you and your years of service. Thank you. So round of applause. Our next recognition is Driver of the Quarter. And next slide. And this is a dual recognition, and it goes out to Linda and Ron Thornton from Wyopis, YMCA's outreach program for aging seniors, Wyopis. Linda and Ron have been volunteer drivers for Wyopis for about 22 years. Linda was actually one of the first volunteers to sign up to transport older adults in her community through Wyopis. A consumer had noted, a 78-year-old consumer noted regarding Linda, I usually only leave my home for medical appointments. Linda is an excellent driver. I always feel safe and secure with her. She makes sure I'm buckled in before we leave every time. She makes my day every time I see her smiling face. And that highlights the importance of the programs, of everybody here today. You may be the only interaction a person may have for that day, and it really is appreciative of them. And thank you for all that you do in our community. Linda was a great influence on Ron. He has been volunteering after his retirement and has developed close relationship with the riders. He drives frequently to doctors and shopping. He noted that seniors have enriched his life in many ways. And as they are becoming older, Linda and Ron now have been working together to get their passengers where they need to go on time. Thank you, Linda and Ron, for all that you do for our community. Thank you. So thank you everybody for sending the congratulations to our first ever driver recognition and years of service recognition. We greatly appreciate all the work that you do. And this is just one way that we like to recognize you. So congratulations. My next update is a little bittersweet. If we can go to the next slide, I have an announcement. Unfortunately for me, this will be the last meeting for my colleague, and I would like to say friend, Ezequias Ocha Rabierio de Sousa. I am very proud to say that his skills have been recognized and he is following another career path. That is an unfortunate part for me. The fortunate part for the community, yes, I, I echo everyone saying no. But fortunately for the community, he will be working on a larger scale with transportation coordination. I'm pretty sure all of us in some capacity has worked with Ezequias, has done a great job in developing our training program, which received national recognition. He has worked to improve our application process, which makes me nervous to undertake after his departure. He's just been a great resource and support for our program. He has grown our program so much. I cannot thank him enough. He will be with us for a couple more weeks, so I recommend that you reach out to him and express your gratitude. Some of the chats in here is he is a gifted individual, and I'm glad to see that he will be taking a bigger stage for the whole community, which we are part of that community, but he will be providing additional support for transportation and transit. Definitely best of luck for you. Ezequias, do you have any comments?
Yes, thank you, Didi. And thank you everybody for putting such kind words in the comments. I appreciate it. Yes, I have a new endeavor. I'm still going to be working with transportation and I'm still going to be working with the public. So it's just in a different capacity now, but I will still be working, improving the quality of the transportation services that we provide here in our region. So it is a bittersweet moment because I do enjoy what I do. I do enjoy my team and working with you, our stakeholders and subrecipients. But the time has come for me to step on this new role, and I will really miss working with all of you.
I just want to say thank you for all you've done for our program and the community. And I am very proud to say that you'll be working on a larger scale in supporting our community in transportation. So he will still be around in a different capacity. So congratulations, Ezequias. I
Didi,
would
this
like
is
to,
Wendy. I would just like to take a moment too to thank you so much, Hezekiah, for all of the work that you've put into this program, supporting the mobility management program, supporting us with the application process, answering questions, becoming a resource. I remember your first day and I will be here on your last day, and tears will be shed. I can tell you this right now. We are very grateful. We are very happy to have worked with you. And we are also very excited for your new endeavor. But Didi and I are going to be crying.
Thank you, Wendy.
yes, I'm just waiting for the end of the day. So yes, you have just grown this program so much, and all of the staff internally and all of the staff with our member agencies have nothing but really great things to say about you. And I am, like I said, I'm very proud that your contributions have been recognized. Yes, it's just like, and thank you for staying in the community of transportation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for always answering our subrecipient questions and, your replies to emails. So thank you all for supporting us. Please be patient with us as we move through this transition. But yes, I echo Wayne and everybody else's of saying best of luck, Ezekias. But I know I still have you for a couple more weeks. On that, Ezekias will lead us now into the next agenda item.
Thank you, Didi, for that. I have one more polling question for us for the next agenda item, and let me bring it up here. It's just a quick question. If you have received any 5310 site review from the city of Phoenix, I know that the city of Phoenix has mentioned in the previous trainings that they had that they are planning the 2024 site reviews, and they're going to be reviewing some of the subrecipients. So we just want to learn a little bit more about you, if you have that experience, if you got that site review or not. I see the questions coming in, the answers coming in. All right, I'm going to end the poll in here. Let's share the results. So we see that there is a good split in there. Most of you, 29% said no, but 21% of you said yes, and 25% said not sure or not applicable. Maybe you are not a subrecipient, but you're attending here today. So we really appreciate that. And the reason why we're asking that is because we have our sub-regional mobility managers presenting today, and they're going to be talking a little bit more about how they prepare themselves on getting documentation ready and getting everything ready. If they go through site reviews, I know that some of our mobility managers have gone through it and can speak a little bit more about what to expect of a review if you do get selected for one. And also they're going to talk a little bit more about the Section 5310 committee evaluation interviews that will be coming up in April. We'll be contacting you shortly to talk more about it and schedule your interviews. So they're also going to talk how they prepare. I know that Billy covered a little bit about how to prepare for the interview back on his Q&A workshop, but we also want to hear from them if they have any questions about how they are preparing for the interviews and best practices and tips on how you can prepare for your committee interview that will be coming up at the end of April. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the sub-regional mobility managers. I'm going to start with Justin.
Yes, thank you, Hezekiah. So starting with the best practices for preparing for the 5310 interview, make sure you review your grant information and you know what's in there before you get to the interview. Make yourself a list of important talking points you want to emphasize during your interview. Have data ready to answer questions asked by the panel. You never know what questions they're going to ask you, so just make sure you have a variety of information that was in your grant information ready, and that you're knowledgeable to answer the questions that they're going to be asking you. For compliance review, we've been through compliance review twice now, so I'm well adverse and experienced with this. So pretty much you want to make sure your vehicles are ready for the review. They'll give you a list of vehicles they're going to be coming out to inspect on site. At least that's what they've done the last couple times with us. Review and prepare your paperwork as requested. They'll give you a list of documents and items to have ready for them. Sometimes they'll request items in advance prior to them showing up for the review. Make sure you send information that they request in a timely manner. Have the vehicles that they have chosen for the review ready to go and on site. Complete and return all information requested for any follow-up action. So if they find areas or items that they have questions on and they need further information, make sure you get that information back to them in a timely manner as well. That's what it, Heskia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Justin, for that. Next in line, I have Billy Parker.
Thanks, Ezekias. I think I'm just going to have a moment of silence now that I know that you're leaving. Really, I wish you just such luck, and I'm not at all surprised that you're moving forward at such a great pace. And I appreciate everything that you've done for transportation for sure.
Thank you.
But I'm not really going to be silent. So, in terms of the application interview, I know maybe some of you have been to the trainings that I've done on that. My name's Billy Parker. I'm executive director for Chandler Gilbert Arc and been a sub-regional mobility manager for 10 years and been a 5310 recipient for about 30. So in terms of best practices, really for the 5310 interview, I really echo a lot of what Justin said. I think it's really important. I think it's also to sort of add to that, be rested, be positive, be brief, make sure you familiarized yourself with your, with your proposal, particularly your cover letter, your rationale, and that you're sure to throw something in there about coordination, because coordination is so vital to the interviews, and just really allow time for them to answer questions and answer the questions succinctly if you can. In terms of who participates in the interview when we do it, it's usually Michael Miller, who has been the person for the last couple of years that has taken over the primary role of writing the grant proposal, and then myself. And I usually have a bigger hand in the mobility management section of our proposal. And so I usually speak to that. So key topics that you want the evaluation committee to know about your agency program. I think really there's a couple important things, particularly I think COVID has been difficult for a lot of organizations, and it's affected, I can say it for our organizations, that it's affected our ability to really grow or expand from a standpoint of the amount of people that we serve or the amount of dollars that we generate and things like that. But we're always looking at cultivating new relationships. We're always looking for new ideas and new directions. And so I think that's something that committee members like to know, that you still have energy for what you're doing, and that a lot of the stuff you talk about, everything should tie back to your mission, and keep in mind that the people that are interviewing you, they want to support your program. They want to support your proposal. So, and then just make sure that you show gratitude to them. Compliance reviews. We've been through a compliance review. I will again echo what Justin said, make sure that you're ready for the review. You have the records together. You've reviewed the standards. You have your vehicles ready. And if shortcomings are detected, make sure that you're prepared to address them succinctly and, again, in a timely manner. I mean, it really helps, I think, to get information back when there's a question, get an answer back as soon as you can. What to expect at the site and compliance reviews. Again, in our experience, the compliance reviews are really constructive, and if it's constructive criticism, those things really represent opportunities for you to grow and change and kind of look at your systems. So again, as far as further requests and follow-up action, just be timely, be appreciative, be thorough, and if there's something that you don't agree with, just make sure that you challenge it really respectfully and succinctly, as I was mentioning. So that's it for me, really, unless anybody has any questions.
Thank you so much, Billy, for that. I appreciate your experience working with the Section 5310 application for so long, and being a sub-regional mobility manager really adds on to the new applicants. We have quite a few new applicants this year, so it's good to have this overview of how to prepare. Thank you. Next, we have Andrea Williams with Gumpers. Andrea?
Hi, everybody. Hesgius, I think it's unfair that you're leaving before I've been a mobility manager for at least a year. So since you're not going to wait, I do congratulate you and wish you all the best, and we'll definitely have your information and still use you as a resource. So
Thank you.
for Gompers, I'm the VP of operations, and I am coming up on being the mobility manager for about a year. And for our best practices, I was talking to our CEO who used to be the VP, and pretty much just what Justin and Billy had said, just review everything, review all the grant information, pick your talking points, stay on topic, know your history, of your company and why you need the grant. And with details, just answer the questions. Just listen to what is being asked of you and answer those questions specifically. In our interview this year, it's going to be our CEO. Like I said, he used to be the VP, was the mobility manager, I think, for a minute. And with our grant writer will be in there. I'm not sure how many people can be in the interview, but if something were to happen and the grant writer could not attend, I will be in there for sure. Our key topics, again, the benefits, and use really like the day-to-day usage for the grant, and how we couldn't do what we're doing right now or provide the services if we didn't have the grant, is really important. Gompers has never had a compliance review. I had asked our CEO and he said, but if we were to, we have all the maintenance records, everything is up to date, we're prepared, and just provide all the information and really know that it is to help us as an agency and an organization, and not to come at us and hurt us at all, but to help us. And that's what
Thank
I
you so
have.
much, Andrea. It's also good that since you were fairly new to the program, also sharing your perspective on how you prepare. As I said, we have a lot of new or 1-year-old applicants applying again, so it's important for them to also see how you can prepare being a new applicant, being fresh on 5310. There are ways, like you said, using other people that have more experience with either the program or with the application to help on the interview process as well. So I really
And for
appreciate.
me, I was assigned certain sections of the application, but it made more sense for me to go back and review everything, not just the sections that I had to actually write. And so that was big for me coming in, being the first time I was a part of the application, just researching the whole application and not just my designated parts that I was assigned to.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions about how to prepare for both the application, or if you receive a notice from the City of Phoenix about your site review, know that you can always contact the City of Phoenix about the site review and ask more questions. They are always open to answer your questions, but you can also contact our sub-regional mobility managers, and they will be able to help you through this process and guide you on how to best prepare for both the site reviews and also to the interviews as well. We unfortunately, Eric Penick was not able to attend today, so we're not going to get an update from him on this point, but we also appreciate all the work, and you can always also contact Eric via email. He's always open and ready to answer any questions that you have. With that, I will go back to you, Didi.
Again, thank you for all of the work that you do. Again, our recognition is just one way to recognize the support that you give our community. Reach out to Ezekias if you have any questions. And thank you for all the great words of encouragement and congratulations you provided him. Yes, Belly, we're really happy, unfortunately, that other people recognize the great work that he does, but I'm glad that he's staying in the transportation field. Thank you to all of our speakers, those that are subrecipients and not subrecipients. We hope all of the presentations are useful for you and that you take it back to your organizations. And have a great rest of the afternoon. And thank you for attending today. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.